In the third year of our marriage, I walked in on my husband and my best friend mid-affair, right in our living room. They were so lost in each other that neither noticed I'd come home. I opened the security feed, downloaded the 2-hour clip, then tapped politely on the doorframe. Hope I'm not interrupting. After that, I yanked the front door wide. You two seem to enjoy an audience. Should I invite the neighbors? Everyone assumed I hated Jason because I'd once loved him. Even he thought so. Not until he dropped to his knees and begged me to take him back did he realize how wrong they were. My name is Vivian. Life had always run smoothly. Good college, steady job, and a wedding to the boy next door. The stuff of Hallmark movies. Jason and I grew up together. After high school graduation, we simply became a couple. In college, he fell for photography and dragged me on every shoot. Once, on a ridge trail, his footing gave way. I lunged, caught his sleeve, and held on until rangers arrived. The effort tore the nerves in my right hand. The damage never fully healed. Jason swore he'd repay the debt with a lifetime of care. Maybe back then he really did love me. The injury cost me my first job. I spent 6 months retraining myself left-handed. When the new hand felt trustworthy, I applied elsewhere. 4 or 5 years later, I'm still there. Promoted to director, salary doubled, benefits solid. Friends call it luck. They never see the late nights I logged to make the impossible look effortless. Our company decided to open a Westmont satellite. The CEO asked me to scout the site with a small team. Mission accomplished ahead of schedule. I flew home 2 days early. I kept it a surprise, my gift to Jason. He returned the favor with a different kind of shock. They hadn't even made it to the bedroom. The couch was battlefield enough. Shock faded to numb certainty. The marriage had flatlined. I opened the home security app, exported the footage, and only then leaned against the jamb and knocked. Jason's face drained, he wilted backward. Stella cowered behind him. The living room looked like a windstorm had hit a lingerie store. I smiled and threw the door wide. So eager you couldn't wait for a mattress? Let's give the Block Association something to talk about. Jason's voice cracked. Vivian, I screwed up. Just don't explode yet. Stella peeked out, eyes shining with borrowed tears. I know you're mad, but don't you dare ruin us. I barked a laugh, scooped their clothes off the rug, and pitched them onto the porch. You sleep with my husband and I'm the villain? Out, unless you want the rest of the zip code to see the show. Jason reached for me, remembered he was naked, and froze. The bite marks on his collarbone glowed like neon. Stella yelped, "Cover me, damn it." Jason snapped, "Shut up and move." He strode into the bedroom to dress, leaving her bare. She snatched a couch cushion, hugged it to her chest, and hopped outside to claw her clothes off the welcome mat. I watched the slapstick, strangely calm. From the sidewalk came Mrs. Kravitz's voice. Lord preserve us, bare as a jaybird at noon. Stella squealed, bolted back inside, and seeing my smirk, lunged snarling. Jason darted out, shoved her away. She hit the parquet hard. Her knees flashed crimson scratches, mascara raced down her cheeks. She stayed down, hair a wild halo, and let out a guttural wail. You said you wanted me, Jason. Now I'm the slut you tripped to save yourself. Jason didn't answer. He turned to me, remorse oozing from every pore. I waited, dry-eyed, wondering whether etiquette required my own tears. I've never been the crying kind. Even when relatives sob, my pulse barely ripples. Teachers called me the model student. Straight A's, no drama. Top priority was finishing homework fast so I could stare out the window. After graduation, Jason confessed he'd liked me since freshman year. I considered the math, 12 years of shared classrooms. Familiarity sounded safer than mystery. Our parents approved, similar roots, steady prospects. We became official. He delivered breakfast to my dorm, nursed me through the flu, bought anniversary gifts months in advance. I basked in the pampering yet never quite mirrored the heat he wanted. He complained he couldn't feel my love. Until the day I caught him mid-fall and gave my right hand for his life. From then on he was convinced. If I'd trade my hand for him, I must be desperately in love. Marriage was polite, pleasant. I practiced thinking husband first. Outsiders saw perfection. Divorce never crossed my mind. Jason finally shoved Stella outside. The hall smelled like her perfume had collided with his cedar cologne and lost. Red crescents dotted his throat. My ruined hand curled involuntarily, phantom pain twinging with each heartbeat. I didn't regret the rescue. Only the man I'd rescued. Jason, we're done. I want a divorce. He slid off the couch and knelt, deflated. No, please, no. Tears splattered his jeans. It was a mistake. Stella came on to me. You're the one I love. He gripped my injured hand, pressing it to his wet cheek. Revulsion crawled up my arm. Jason, I don't love you. present tense know any more about it. We're ending this. Hit me, scream, whatever vents the rage, he pleaded, eyes bloodshot. When I stayed silent, he seized my wrist and tried to force it across his face. I yanked free as if burned. Why, he howled. If you don't love me, why did you risk your life? And that bought your loyalty for how long? I asked. His frenzy cracked, he crumpled, soundless. I exhaled. You have 3 days to sign. Otherwise I'll see you in court. I let a cold smile surface. The camera caught every thrust. Judges adore impartial witnesses. I headed for the bedroom to pack. Jason lunged, grabbing air. Leave the house to you. I echoed. It's contaminated. I stuffed a suitcase with basics and walked out. Does Jason love me? If so, how could he betray me? And if betrayal felt so good, why this theatrical agony now? I think what galls him isn't losing me. It's that the girl who once offered her life can now say, without drama, I don't love you. When I reached my parents' porch, every window blazed with light. Mom stepped out of her room, a cardigan draped over her shoulders. When she saw me standing there alone, a few garments dangling from my hand, she froze. Why are you back by yourself? Where's Jason? Right then I should have looked more tragic, sobbing until my lungs shredded, to fit the part of a wife betrayed. I tried. My eye sockets burned dry, not one tear would squeeze out. Mom, Jason cheated. I'm filing for divorce, so I came home. The blood drained from Mom's face. Her lips parted, but whatever she meant to say withered. She only stared, her gaze a tangle of shock and something darker. After a long moment she ventured, voice quivering, to change the subject with deliberate care. Have you eaten? I shook my head. I'm not hungry. I just got off a business trip. I'm exhausted. I want to lie down. I hadn't cried, hadn't even cracked a sob, yet Mom was convinced I'd shattered past the point of tears. She watched me as if I were porcelain one tap away from dust, guiding me with featherlight hands. For the first time in my life, she handled me like something fragile. Later I heard her whisper to Dad, "This child is so heartbroken she can't even cry." I neither denied nor confirmed. While I was consulting lawyers, Jason stayed busy. Calls, texts, flies buzzing around the same rot. I love you, only you. I was wrong, babe, just a moment of stupidity. Finally, after we divorce, I'll chase you all over again. We'll start fresh. I stared at that line and almost laughed out loud. Did he think life had a load last checkpoint button? I ruthlessly dragged every alias he owned into the blocked list. Blacklisted, Jason simply moved his one-man show to my apartment building. He reported for duty beneath my window every single day from dawn to dusk. A modern statue of a husband hopeful I'd take him back. It drove me insane. Just as my patience scraped bottom, Stella reached out asking to meet. We picked the cafe we used to frequent, cheesy name. Oleander. Time. Through the plate glass the same old street looked bleaker, as though the view itself knew we'd changed. I ordered a hot latte. Its faint bitterness drifted between us. Stella ordered nothing. She sat folded over herself, eyes pinned on me, a mix of resentment and cruel delight shining through. She probably expected me wasted away, raccoon-eyed and abandoned, since in her script I loved Jason enough to die for him. She never noticed I never loved him at all, same as Jason never really saw me. Vivian. Her rims reddened. She dabbed the corner of an eye as though tears were cued there. Give Jason to me, okay? I truly love him so much. We're best friends. We shouldn't let a man tear us apart. I lifted my cup, took a slow sip. Warmth slid down my throat. Oh! I stretched the vowel, feigning revelation, and locked eyes with her. Stella, so you still remember we were best friends? Then recall senior year. Remember the night before finals when those dropouts cornered you behind the gym? Who dragged you out? You hugged me, snot and tears all over my blazer, shaking like a leaf, swearing you couldn't go on living. Scarlet flooded her eyes, real tears this time. She reached for my hand the way she always had when she needed comfort. I tilted my cup just enough. Her fingers met porcelain, not skin. The small dodge pierced her delicate act balloon. She cracked. Why? Her voice spiked, sharp and ugly. Vivian, why is everything easy for you? Top college, perfect parents who treat you like royalty, and a husband golden in every way. What do I have? A dumpster fire family, drunk gambler dad, a mother who forgot I existed the minute she remarried. My life is garbage. Every time you patted my shoulder, I heard bragging. Your casual kindness felt like mockery. Why are you always the giver, and I the mangy dog begging for scraps? Her chest heaved, jealousy and poison finally hissing free. So I seduced Jason. I stole the thing you treasured most. This time, Vivian, I win. A warped grin split her face. Certain she'd scored, She fished inside her bag and unfolded a sheet of paper. Oh, almost forgot. She spread it like a trophy. I'm pregnant. A positive pregnancy report. I didn't bother reading. When did it start? She lifted her chin. About 6 months ago. Back when you still thought you owned the world's happiest marriage. Earlier than I'd guessed. I'd been neck-deep in a product launch, working past midnight. Every odd clue about Jason now slid neatly into place. Stella, you're mistaken. I don't pick up trash others discard. Her smile jammed. You schemed all this time for a man I can't even be bothered to hate? You think you've won? I gave a faint, pitying shake of my head. Stella, only now am I sure. You never knew me, and you were never worth a shred of my heart. My phone had been recording from the moment we sat down. I figured she wanted to plead for Jason. The bonus reveal was simply extra. Outside Oleander.time, the sky had dimmed. Back at my complex, a wretched silhouette lunged from the shadows, Jason. Days without showers had left his hair greasy, his chin Sam, eyes sunken. His shirt wrinkled and sour with beer and smoke. Vivian. His eyes flickered bright, then dimmed under cautious flattery. I stopped, face blank. I saw Stella today. She's pregnant. He flinched as if tasered. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. sharp, City Hall Marriage Bureau. We sign. If you don't show, expect a court summons. Watching him crumble, I added, be there. Jason's mouth fell open. A strangled sob tore loose. He swayed, tears fat as marbles smacking the pavement. Be baby. He looked up, cheeks streaked. We're really over. Yes. He tried to speak, failed, then folded in half, clutching his head like a lost kid bawling on the sidewalk. I drew a slow breath, crushed the microscopic quiver in my chest, turned, and walked away without another glance. Everyone thinks I loved Jason. I didn't. Everyone thinks my life has been charmed. It hasn't. There's something broken inside me. I have no plan to fix it. My parents only started loving me after high school, once they noticed something was off. That love wore kid gloves, full of trial and apology, too late. In 8th grade, some long-lost relatives visited. At dinner, an uncle asked my age and grade. Dad said 15, 8th grade. Mom snapped, nonsense. She's 14, 7th grade. They argued across the table, tiger versus rabbit, finally agreeing I was 13, 7th grade. I was actually 14, 2nd semester 8th grade. I stood there awkwardly smiling, an ornament whose own age didn't belong to her. That moment I understood. In their hearts I barely registered. I also had Andrew. Mom and Dad applied 2 separate yardsticks. Andrew's birthdays meant new toys, big meals, sometimes cake. Mine fell near Spring Festival, dismissed with New Year brings everything. Kids shouldn't be picky. They never missed Andrew's parent-teacher conferences, taking leave if necessary. Mine? The chairs stayed empty. Teachers assumed I came from a single-parent home. Yet Andrew cared. He sneaked allowance money to me, bought snacks I loved. After Mom or Dad scolded me, he'd pat my head, stammering, Vivian, don't cry, Andrew will protect you. Apart from Jason, he was my only warmth. But Andrew was older, wrapped up in school, then college out of state. He couldn't protect me every second of every day. Some wounds were simply beyond his reach. After I started high school, the campus was too far from home, so I boarded at Uncle's house. Aunt was usually out of town for work. Most nights it was just Uncle and me. One Saturday afternoon I was at my desk doing homework when Uncle pushed the door open and locked it behind him. Panic flared instantly. What are you doing? I asked, voice shaking. He came closer, step by step, wearing a smile I didn't understand, greasy, nauseating. Vivian, studying alone is no fun. Let Uncle keep you company. I trembled, shrinking back. My pen clattered to the floor. He seized my wrist with startling strength. His breath, sour with smoke and sweat, hit my face and nearly made me retch. Vivian, let Uncle love you properly. I screamed, thrashed, begged. At the last second my fingers found the desk lamp. I swung it with everything I had. Uncle was injured, and Aunt threw me out of the house. But the horror kept replaying in my head, and after that day I locked myself away. I wanted nothing to do with loving or being loved. Not long afterward, my migrant worker parents moved back to the county seat. Only after my incident did they remember they still had a daughter. My teacher noticed something was wrong first. She called Eleanor to school and phrased it delicately. Senior year is stressful. Your daughter's mood seems unstable. Consider taking her to a counselor for support. Eleanor's face changed on the spot. Back home, she jabbed a finger at my nose. You're mental. Books have fried your brain. You're disgracing this family. I kept my head down, saying nothing. Crazy it is, then, I was used to it. Later she must have decided my illness was serious, because she tried everything to pry a reaction out of me. First came her favorite tactic, picking fights. Look at this floor, filthy as a pigsty, even though I'd just polished it. Your room stinks of death. Open a window. Though the window was wide open. She'd barge in suddenly, rifle through my backpack, scan my diary, interrogating me like a suspect. I was a puppet, letting her yank the strings. When that failed, she switched styles. She started being nice with caution, piling food I hated onto my plate, asking about school. The gentleness felt forced and unfamiliar, worse than blows. I couldn't give her the response she wanted. Half of my heart had died the summer afternoon Uncle locked the door. All I could do was act. I pretended to listen, pretended her concern touched me. I knew she saw through it. The disappointment in her eyes stabbed like needles, and I was powerless. During that stretch, I even wondered if she had ever loved me. If she had, how could she miss the hollow look in my eyes? The day the college entrance exam ended, the sky was unbelievably blue. We were crossing the street together when a drunk driver lost control. She shoved me out of the way with all her strength. Brakes shrieked, metal crumpled, people screamed. I watched her crumple in a pool of blood. Outside the door, relatives surrounded me. Your mom saved you, she gave you your life. You owe her your filial piety from now on. I owe her. Those 3 words clamped around me like a curse. During the nights I kept vigil in the ward my mind spun. I remembered stories I'd overheard about my birth. When Eleanor was pregnant, everyone said it would be a boy. Grandma was elated. She stockpiled baby blue clothes and told Mom not to bother sewing. But I came out a girl. Grandma snatched every new outfit away, leaving nothing. Still weak from childbirth, Eleanor got up and stitched tiny dresses for me herself. Gazing at her pale, post-op face, so fragile she might fade away, I felt for the first time that she truly loved me. Ironic. She would step in front of a car for me, die for me. Yet she hadn't believed the terrified teenager who fought Uncle in that locked room. She trusted only what she chose to see. When she woke, the first thing she did was grab my hands, checking for injuries. To ease her mind, to stop the chorus of "you owe her," I began performing normal. I smiled, initiated conversation, asked about her health. Her smiles multiplied, the ward felt lighter. Relatives said I'd matured, grown sensible. Only I knew I'd buried my real self even deeper. After Andrew graduated, he stayed away for work, building his own life. He rings home now and then to ask how things are. An ocean of miles and unspeakable memories lies between us. He's still the big brother who secretly slipped me pocket money, but he can't guard me around the clock anymore. Winter of my sophomore year, a tiny incident cut me again. It was unusually cold. Andrew called saying he missed Mom's cured sausage. Eleanor hurried to the market for the best pork, spent days seasoning and air-drying it, packed it lovingly and mailed it off. She came back humming, unusually cheerful. I asked offhand, "Mom, can I have some too?" She blinked as if just remembering I existed. "Oh, your brother needed it fast. Besides, you live on campus. The dining hall has everything. You're not missing much." She never knew how desperately I craved a bite of home that winter. She never knew I lived on steamed buns and pickles to save money. Her love for Andrew is active, meticulous. For me, it always seems an afterthought. An oops, I forgot. Just like those parent-teacher meetings. Andrew's seat was always filled, mine always empty. Some things, it turns out, never change. As for Dad, in my hazy memory, he's mostly silent. Jason and I agreed to file for divorce at City Hall tomorrow. I dragged myself home from work and opened the door to find the living room abnormally lively. Aunt's family was there, Uncle included. He'd been laid off years ago. He looks older now, gray creeping into his temples, yet that same cloying, hypocritical smile hasn't changed. Eleanor and Aunt were chattering on the sofa, laughing nonstop. I changed shoes and headed for my room. "Stop right there." Eleanor's irritated voice chased me. "Vivian, are you blind? Your aunt and uncle are here." Like a corpse, no greeting at all. "Where are your manners?" I inhaled, swallowed the nausea and irritation, turned and produced a stiff smile. "Aunt, uncle." Uncle's cloudy eyes crawled over me. The gaze still sends ice through my veins, as if sticky worms are sliding across my skin. At the dinner table, Aunt cleared her throat and launched into lecture mode. "Vivian, in marriage squabbles are normal. We watched Jason grow up. He's good at heart. He just made a momentary mistake. Men all play around a bit. Turn a blind eye and it passes. You're still young. Once you divorce, what's left? Second-hand women aren't worth much. Besides, Jason swore he won't stray again. Keep causing a scene and you embarrass everyone." Dad, silent as ever, kept refilling his whiskey, though his sideways glances kept flicking toward me. With every word from Aunt, Eleanor's expression softened, agreement budding in her eyes. Your aunt has a point, Vivian. Jason knows he was wrong. He waits downstairs every day, seems sincere. Life must go on, so why don't you? Smack! I slammed my chopsticks onto the table, cutting her off. I met Aunt's fake smile with an icy stare. Whether I divorce or not, how is that any of your business? Jason cheated while married, that's Emery, and you call it a momentary slip? A divorced woman is worthless, but a cheating man is some prize? Aunt's manicured face flushed crimson, as if publicly slapped. The benevolent mask slipped. How dare you speak to me like that? She shrieked, fingers stabbing the air at me. I'm your elder, everything I say is for your own good, you ungrateful brat. This is the upbringing your parents gave you? I let out a cold laugh. For my own good? More like a weasel paying New Year respects to a chicken, no good intention at all. What favor did Jason promise you, that you hustle so hard for him? Or maybe your own marriage is miserable, so you can't stand seeing anyone else happy, determined to drag every woman into the same rut you settled for? Eleanor barked. Vivian, apologize to your aunt this instant. Have you no respect? She's still an elder. I shot to my feet. For my benefit? She's lobbying for Jason, or for her own precious elder face. Why doesn't she urge Jason to keep his pants on? Why not tell Stella to keep her hands off other people's husbands? Why must I swallow my anger so those two cheaters can ride off into the sunset? Eldership doesn't give you license to invert right and wrong. I spun toward the uncle who had sat there deaf and mute, my voice cracking open with years of buried hatred. And what Uncle did to me back then, have you all just erased it from memory? An elder like that, does he even deserve the title? Watching Uncle's face drain of color, seeing Eleanor's shocked, panicked eyes, I felt no warmth, only an icy, painful satisfaction. Some scars, once ripped open, still bleed. But the pain you keep bottled rots you from within worse than any blood. Aunt Carol was so choked by my retort that she couldn't speak, the hand pointing at me shaking even harder. Uncle Ray's eyes darted everywhere. He didn't dare meet my gaze. Mom slammed the table. Enough, Vivian. Shut your mouth. Who talks to elders like that? You've lost your mind. Apologize to your aunt and uncle right now. I turned to her, my stare glacial. Apologize? For what? Did I say anything untrue? Or, Mom, do you also think a daughter getting groped by her uncle is trivial, not worth mentioning? You think a daughter betrayed by her husband should swallow it, keep up appearances, and stay in this rotten marriage? Vivian. Dad's low voice finally cut in, edged with warning. But I no longer cared. Years of bottled grievances erupted like a volcano. When have you ever truly cared about me? Andrew's birthdays were fanfare. Mine rated a tossed-off happy birthday. You'd clear your schedules for Andrew's parent-teacher conferences. Mine you never attended. When Uncle Ray, when he did that to me, your first reaction wasn't to protect me. It was to hush me up, to avoid scandal. Now my marriage is over, and instead of backing me you gang up with outsiders to force me back in. Who gave you the right? Who? The living room fell tomb quiet. Aunt Carol opened her mouth, but no words came. She dragged Uncle Ray, still dazed, and practically fled. Mom deflated onto the sofa, eyes complicated as she looked at me. Vivian, what am I supposed to say to you? Harmony in the family brings prosperity. Why can't you grasp that? Your aunt means well, she's afraid your life will be hard. I tugged a corner of my mouth into a mocking smile. Means well? Mom, do you even believe that? If she truly meant well, she'd tell Jason to stop his freefall, not tell me to fold myself smaller. If you'd meant well, you wouldn't have brushed off what Uncle Ray did. Mom opened her mouth to counter, then only let out a long sigh. Jason's not bad at heart. She tried one last time. I cut her off. Mom, enough. Jason and I are done. Divorce had never felt clearer, never firmer. Next morning, outside City Hall Marriage Bureau. 9 o'clock came and went. Half an hour later Jason still hadn't shown. I was about to leave when he finally appeared, haggard, shadow-eyed Sam, his suit a wrinkled mess, all his old swagger gone. I spared him no pity. Since you're here, let's go, I said coldly, heading for the doors. Vivian. He grabbed my wrist, voice hoarse, pleading. Do we really have to do this? I shook him off and walked inside. The paperwork was simpler than I'd feared. Only a 30-day wait. Outside again, I gazed at the streaming traffic and promised myself, never again. Before the ludicrous cooling-off month ended, word arrived that Jason and Stella were now official. Stella's pregnancy had reached his parents' ears. The Sterling elders had craved a grandchild for ages. Stella's belly became her trump card. Caught between his parents' delight and Stella's baby blackmail, Jason caved. I couldn't care less. Every ounce of my energy went to work. The company had landed new investors. Flush with cash, we were poised to soar. At the kickoff meeting, the boss declared the new project was our future. No mistakes allowed. The split of marital assets went shockingly smoothly. I walked away with the lion's share, joint savings, and the investment condo. Jason kept only the house we'd lived in. A month later, I returned to collect my certificate of freedom. Stella showed up too, hand theatrically cradling the still flat bump, smugness all over her face, eyes sparking with challenge. I didn't waste a single extra glance. The divorce booklet was stamped in minutes. I took it and turned to leave. "Vivian." Jason called. He looked at me, cautious, hopeful, remorseful. "Can we still be friends? Add me back on WhatsApp. An ex should stay as dead as possible." Apart from a soft pang for lost years, I felt little sorrow. I never broadcast their filth, but the world is small and secrets leak. Stella, once eager to flaunt our sisterly bond, had name-dropped me and Jason, endlessly at work. So when she finally got her man, the tale of her home-wrecking spread through her office like wildfire. Nobody's stupid. The other woman label soon forced her to quit. Pregnant and notorious, she had zero shot at another decent job. She ended up holing up at home, fetus under the watch of Jason's mother. Mrs. Sterling is classic old school, rural, blunt, and blessedly free of filters. Her stunts range from hilarious to jaw-dropping. Stella, proud of her delicacy and faux literary air, couldn't survive such earthiness. Enter Alex. Inside the Sterling house, it became small skirmishes every 3 days, full battles every 5. Stella first scolded her mother-in-law for poor hygiene and backward views. Then she spun around and tore into Jason, slamming his mom, slamming his failure to give her the good life. Caught between mother and love, Jason escaped home more nights than not, preferring pointless overtime to the chaos. Meanwhile, I poured myself into work and a fresh life. The new project raced ahead. My pitch decks and campaigns landed one slick deal after another. Numbers climbed through the roof. At the quarterly meeting, the boss called me out by name for praise. Cue promotion and raise. To steer the expansion, HQ parachuted in a new COO, Ethan. Young, ruthless, poached from a tech giant. On his first day, he convened the department heads. In the conference room, his gaze raked the table. When my turn to report came, he suddenly broke in. "Jamie, does your right wrist bother you?" I blinked. The recent sprint had indeed stirred up an old injury. Dull aches flared, though I tried to hide it. The boss jumped in. "Mr. Shaw, Vivian hurt that wrist years ago. Lingering issue. It acts up under heavy load." Ethan studied me a beat longer, curiosity gone as fast as it came. "Carry on," he said evenly, motioning for me to continue. After that, he seemed to special case me. Important files were messengered to my office, instead of me fetching them. Marathons on the computer saw his assistant slide a wrist rest beside me. Once, spotting me struggle with a bottle cap, he quietly took it and twisted it open. Those tiny gestures grated. I loathe being singled out, especially as some fragile specimen. I started keeping my distance. Work updates stayed brisk and strictly business. Off hours, I dodged him entirely. Phase 1 victory meant a company gala at a swank hotel ballroom. I was chatting with partners when Jason appeared, drink in hand, steps unsteady, heading straight for me. "Vivian." He seized my wrist in a vice. "Vivian, please, let's talk. I know I screwed up." His eyes were red-rimmed, once handsome face wrecked by desperation. "Let go." I snapped. "I won't. Give me one more chance." A cool male voice cut in. "Let her go, sir." Ethan stepped forward. Jason squinted, registered Ethan, then the hand gripping me, and, far from releasing, clung tighter, half mad with defiance. "Who are you?" "This is between Vivian and me. Back off." "I won't say it again." "Let go." Jason yanked, trying to drag me against him. I yelped at the spike of pain. Ethan struck. He clamped Jason's wrist and twisted. Jason howled, fingers springing open. Then Ethan's fist connected. Jason staggered, blood beading at his lip. Snarling, Jason lunged. The two went down in a knot of fists. The banquet hall erupted. Security poured in and hauled them apart. Ethan had a split lip, but eyes still razor-sharp. Jason looked trashed, hair wild, shirt wrecked. Aftermath, hospital. Ethan needed only a bandage. Jason's nose looked crooked, needed imaging. I sat on a corridor bench waiting to give my statement to the cop. Ethan came out and sat beside me. "Sorry I dragged you into this," I murmured. He shook his head. "Not your fault." Then Stella arrived, belly now visibly round, rushing toward the exam room where Jason had been taken. Seeing me, she froze for a second, then shot me a vicious glare. Jason walked out of the exam room right then, a strip of gauze taped across the bridge of his nose. He noticed Stella's hostile stare, frowned, and without looking at me, quickly stepped to her side and grabbed her arm. "Let's go." Stella carved one more hateful look into me before Jason half-dragged her away. The police didn't finish taking my statement until deep into the night. Ethan drove me home in silence. A few days later, I walked into Ethan's office on my own initiative. "Mr. Shaw, thank you for that night." He set down his fountain pen and lifted his gaze, calm as ever. "No need to thank me." I inhaled, deciding to stop circling the subject. "Do you like me?" The air seemed to solidify for an instant. Ethan's eyes didn't flicker. He met my stare without flinching. "Yes." I admit, my heart skipped half a beat at that moment, but reason reasserted itself almost immediately. "I'm sorry, Mr. Shaw. I truly appreciate your care and help, but I can't accept." He arched a brow, unsurprised, and simply waited for me to continue. "I don't want to be treated differently because of my hand or any other external factor. I've just ended a marriage. I have zero expectations about romance right now, so please don't waste your time on me." Ethan was silent for a few seconds. "Understood. Professionally, I still admire your competence. Privately, I'll watch my boundaries." He kept his word. After that, Ethan quietly receded from my personal life. Work handoffs stayed efficient and precise, yet all the meticulous special attention vanished. No more wrist support pads waiting in conference rooms. Important documents now required me to walk to his office to collect them. The look he gave me returned to its original appraisement, level and detached. The new project wrapped smoothly, and I received a generous bonus. Around the same time, a college friend who was about to quit her job asked if I wanted to partner on a bubble tea shop. I poured in the bonus plus most of my savings. She handles product development and daily operations. I handle staffing and brand marketing. We chose a spot near Riverside University District, and business keeps climbing, word of mouth spreading week by week. Watching the daily sales numbers tick upward in the back-end system, I felt, for the first time, that hard work really does pay, tangible, fragrant, sweet. If things stay on track, next year I'll open the first downtown branch. Money, after all, smells better than promises. Stella lost the baby. My worldview-shattering aunt delivered the news herself. After Jason and I divorced, she actually shoved her daughter, my cousin Riley, who looks a bit like me, into Jason's bed. Her scheme clattered loud enough to shake the sky. Jason has money. The original wife is gone, so maybe the budget replacement could strike gold. Jason performed a few half-hearted refusals at first. Later, he simply let the current carry him and tacitly accepted Riley's offerings. When Stella discovered the affair, she was 8 months swollen. Word is she walked in on Riley wearing the same style of dress, deliberately mimicking certain expressions. Stella snapped, lunging at Riley like a madwoman. With that belly, how agile could she be? In the scuffle, Riley shoved her hard. Stella hit the floor. They delivered the baby by emergency C-section, but it never breathed. A tiny life, never even opening its eyes to the world, gone just like that. Both Stella's parents and Jason's went ballistic, howling to sue Riley for intentional assault. Lock her up and toss the key, they demanded. The story exploded across social circles. I was at the shop proofreading the new quarter marketing plan when Mom called, voice warped with panic. "Vivian, come home now. Your aunt's here," wailing at the top of her lungs. I rushed back, shoved open the door to find my aunt planted on the sofa, face glazed with tears and snot. The instant she saw me, she lunged as if I were a life raft. "Vivian, you have to save Lydia." I sidestepped her grab, startled but composed. "Auntie, stop crying and tell me what happened." The more I listened, the darker my face became. Turns out the vicious homewrecker everyone in the office cursed was my cousin Riley. Stella's camp had issued an ultimatum: $500,000 in hush money or see Riley behind bars. My aunt had begged every relative we have and still couldn't scrape together that astronomical sum. So she pinned her hopes on me, and with staggering nerve. "Vivian, this whole mess is your fault." I thought my ears had quit working. If you hadn't insisted on divorcing Jason, he never would have noticed Lydia. Lydia just got momentarily confused. Bottom line, you vacated the spot. So the 500 grand is on you. It's what you owe this family. I nearly laughed myself sick at her spectacular, daylight blackmail logic. I'd seen Shameless, but not this kind of shameless that rewrites reality in neon. Mom shook with rage and started screaming at her on the spot. "Have you no face? Your daughter spread her legs, killed a baby, and you dare demand money from Vivian? We don't have that kind of cash, and if we did, we wouldn't give a cent to human garbage like you." Auntie threw herself on the floor, kicking and howling that we were heartless traitors. I simply called 911. The officers arrived within minutes. After they heard the tale, the way they looked at our family mingled. "Your circus is lit with sorry about your gene pool." And my cheeks burned. Riley's quiet younger brother Jordan finally cobbled the payoff together, scraping, pleading, even taking high-interest loans that compound by the hour, then handed the money to Stella's family. Later he came to the shop to find me. Not even 30, eyes sunken, Sam. The straight spine of his former years bent as though broken beneath this calamity he never asked for. He looked at me, voice husky, eyes raw with exhaustion and guilt. "Sis, I'm sorry for the trouble we brought on you." I stared at his bloodshot eyes and felt my own chest tighten. "You've done nothing wrong, Jordan." He gave a wan smile, said nothing more, and walked away, shoulders sagging. At that moment I realized, in that whole rotten household, only Jordan carries any real backbone. Pity he's stuck with those two parasites. The accident left Stella's body wrecked. The doctor said her uterus was so damaged she'll likely never carry another child. A woman who lost her baby, and almost her chance at motherhood itself. Tragic beyond words. Jason, not long after Stella's discharge, took her to City Hall Marriage Bureau for a subdued wedding. Just a family meal, no fanfare. With a fresh corpse in the room, joy would have been grotesque. The scandal vaporized Jason's vice presidency. He was quietly eased out. Yet within weeks he'd landed a new post, comparable title, rumored salary even fatter. That's reality for you. So long as you retain leverage, scandals wash off like cheap perfume when profits beckon. Gossip can't out hard cash. To pay his debts, Uncle took a construction job hauling bricks. Within days he fell from the 3rd floor. Both legs snapped, death nearly clocked him in. They wrestled him back to life in the ICU. But the family coffers are now bone dry and Jordan's compensation went straight to the sharks. I was doing inventory when I heard, and almost burst out laughing. Goodness is hard to reward, yet evil so often picks up its own tab, swiftly. That night I ordered a mountain of barbecue and cracked a cold beer in private celebration. For the first time, schadenfreude tasted better than brown sugar boba. Next evening my aunt shuffled back in, looking 10 years older. She started pleading before her but hit the chair. "Vivian, things are desperate. Could you spare anything? Someday we'll." I cut her off. "Every dollar is tied up in the business. Liquid, I'm at zero. We actually had cash flow, but I'd rather burn it than give them a cent. Call me cold. If the patient were anyone else I might offer comfort, but that man on the bed deserves neither sympathy nor spare change." Her face twisted. "Ingrate. We raised you. Now you're rich, you turn your back. Hate me if you want," I said. "I'm done bankrolling your disasters." She screamed curses all the way out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frame. I didn't even flinch, just savored the sudden quiet. Mom chopped vegetables, sighing between cuts. "Vivian, maybe throw her something small? People will say we're heartless." "No money," I answered levelly. "Let her talk. If the whole world wants to condemn me, get in line. Reputation matters to some. To me it's background static. Cheap seasoning for someone else's dinner." Later events proved I lost nothing. Clients still call, favors still find me, gossip dissolves like sugar in hot tea. Andrew wanted to fly home after hearing the family meltdown. I told him not to bother. Since the divorce, no sermon on earth could make me date, let alone marry again. I've begun to suspect love might be humankind's slickest con. No need to please anyone. Pleasing myself is enough. Money, career, a new purse and lipstick every month, fresh experiences on demand. Those give me more security than any vow ever could. Neon nightlife or a quiet cup of boba alone, same difference. From now on I live for myself. I won't bend a single step for anyone else's expectations. Thanks for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you liked this video, please like and share it with friends. We look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping stories. See you next time.